a source of a lot of confusion for people, at least what I've gathered when I polled my audience to see what questions they had about biological dentistry, is root canals. And so I asked my audience what were their most burning questions regarding root canals. And Lindsay asked, are all root canals bad, or do they serve any good purpose? So let's start there.
Yeah. So root canals are a standard treatment in dentistry. It's basically designed to get you out of pain and keep that tooth for biting. That's it. And it works. No doubt about it. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And to answer Lindsay's question, usually at the beginning, they're all good because you kind of disinfect that tooth. The pain started from bacteria going into the pulp, and that's the pain. So we take out all the vital parts and then disinfect the dentin tubules and all the microstructures. And this lasts for a little bit. So it'll probably be fine for a while. Us as biodentists, we see a root canal as a temporary solution to keep that tooth, but then obviously work on the long-term strategy. So yes, it serves the purpose of biting. For some people that are super healthy, they might be able to compensate it longer. But if you look at the studies from not just dentistry, because obviously for dentists, a root canal is a fine art. There's some dentists that are called endodontologists. Those are the specialists for root canals. They will actually do it with a microscope, use ozone to disinfect it. So that's a really high skill, but it's super expensive. Most people don't get this. They have the standard root canal. And if you look in studies from biochemistry, for example, Boyd Haley, he says within a couple of years, all of them get reinfected. That's just because it's in the mouth. It's the second largest microbiome, most diversified. And all these bacteria can just jump in from the periodontium, which is like the bony structure right around the tooth, but also stayed in there because it wasn't fully disinfected. So it's just a matter of time until this tooth will get reinfected. And if you look at the microscopic structure of a tooth, just one root, we have about 30 to 75,000 dentin tubules per square millimeters. And that's just a perfect cave system, canal system for bacteria, anaerobic ones. And they're most of the time polymorph, meaning they can just shape the way they want, go a bit longer, deeper, dive in. Problem is our immune system can dive in. So our macrophages, the innate immune system, will just stay around it. I always explain it like the cat and mouse principle. Let's say the mouse in the hole is like the bacteria in the dentin tubule, but then the cat is around and looking for it and builds a chronic inflammation. And silent inflammation, chronic infection leads to chronic inflammation. It's the main problem. So from a biodentistry point of view, it was never a good idea to leave a dead body part in the body, which a root canal basically is. From a conventional dentistry part, it's completely fine because it works for biting. So that's a little bit of the difference. So we look on how we can optimize overall health. And then obviously we will find these triggers, splinters that are ingrown in your jawbone and maybe affecting your overall health.
Wow, it's crazy. So how, maybe you can walk us through, because I've never had a root canal. How is a root canal typically performed within conventional dentistry, and how does it differ to how you might perform a root canal as a biodentist?
So the root canal treatment is the same for every dentist, biodentist, or conventional one. Basically, what you need to do is, if you had a huge cavity, meaning a hole in your tooth, and it reaches the bacteria in there, reaches the pulp, which is the alive part of the tooth. In the middle is the pulp. There's a blood supply, lymph supply, autonomic nervous system in there. And as soon as bacteria come in, the infection starts and it hurts like hell. It's just neuralgia pain because it's directly connected to the brain nerve. And we have to do something as a dentist to get you out of there. So even in biodentistry, if a patient presents with acute pain, we have to do it. But we use it as a long-term temporary versus standard treatment for biting, see? So it's not a wrong thing to do. Obviously, you can make it more perfect with the microscopes and using ozone to disinfect. But let's say the general conventional root canal is just done quite fast, a little bit of disinfecting, just filling it up. Also probably covered by the insurance versus the specialist one.
So would you say if it's done well, it is safe and effective?
It is. It is completely effective to get you out of acute pain. And for maybe even a couple of years, it might be solid and your body is able to compensate for it. Problem is, and here's the kicker maybe, I see mainly patients on the outside, let's say, realm, super sick patients or high performance athletes, people that want to have a 10 out of 10. So it's for a chronic unhealthy patient, whatever diagnosis it is, we sometimes just need to remove all sorts of chronic inflammation from the body just to get him started on the health journey. Versus an athlete, he might need the extra split second to run the 100 meters faster. Or also, if you, for example, are a high performance athlete, you very well, everything is worked out well. But then you do a marathon and you know that's a huge stress on your body. Stress means your immune system gets shut down a little bit. So maybe in that phase of that marathon or training for it, your body is in an immune blockage, and then the root canal can become a problem. So maybe the bacteria spread through the heart or anything. So in these scenarios, high stress scenarios, the root canal can become a huge problem, even though you're healthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many people have asked, should I remove my root canal? How do you remove a root canal?
So for us, in our treatment plan, we plan to remove all of the root canals because we diagnose them on a 3-dimensional X-ray, and they usually all are kind of infected. But for now, for our audience, we don't want to fearmonger anyone or stress out. It's more information that we're delivering. No, don't just go to a dentist and remove the root canal, because if you're not skilled and know how to remove it, let's say minimal invasive, you maybe just yank it out and break out a little bit of bone, and then you're just left with no tooth, which is actually worse than having a tooth for biting. So you need to have a solid strategy. And our long-term strategy for a infected root canal or a root canal that bothers you is to take out the tooth without hurting anything of the surrounding structure, which is the bone, it's called the socket, as well as the gum tissue. So basically the socket stays alive. Then we disinfect this after obviously taking out something infected with ozone, use PRP, and then we place an immediate ceramic implant. Not a titanium implant. This is what 99% of all dentists do. That's the gold standard. We use ceramic for over a decade. And this is the perfect tool to keep the anatomy. Basically, it's a pain-free treatment. We just take out the tooth and put it back in. And the ceramic implant acts kind of like a tent pole in the anatomy, and the bone will just heal on top of it. So your body always thinks there's still a tooth. So it never collapses the socket. There's never any alveolar atrophy. As you know, you don't use it, you lose it, like in bodybuilding. Same if you take out a tooth, within 3 months, the socket just collapses. So we lose bone height and width if you don't do something immediately. And this is, for most dentists listening or even patients, this is unheard of. And for us, it's a specialty, but this is how it usually is. Some people do new things, starting a little bit earlier, trailblazing.
So what you've described is basically an alternative to root canals, or?
That's our long-term solution for a root canal. A more biocompatible one. Or let's say one that is without stressing the immune system or triggering, because a ceramic implant is basically a neutral zirconia implant. It's completely neutral to the body. There's no electric current or anything. There's no immune trigger. We tested so many. And it's just a tool to replace it. Obviously, the best long-term solution is not needing a root canal in the first place, never having a tooth decay, never losing your teeth. But this starts way earlier. So if that ship has sailed, we have to have something for the long run. And this ceramic implant is now finally accepted as a complete medical guideline in Germany, meaning it's the same as a titanium implant, just next level. And now dentists, at least in Europe or in Germany, have to at least give you the alternative as a patient. If you had lost your tooth or you want to have an alternative for a titanium implant, they have to present ceramic implant. And actually, if you would put down a metal titanium implant, looks like a screw, and a white screw, and let the patient decide, I don't think there's ever going to be one patient choosing the black silver one over the white aesthetic one. It's just an amazing tool, but that's only it. It's just a tool in your toolkit to help patients out of the chronic infection. That's it. Ideally, it's always your tooth, your healthy tooth, your live tooth.
Yeah. For listeners and viewers who might have been recommended by their dentists that they need a root canal, or even people who've stumbled upon this video on YouTube searching for alternatives to root canals, what questions might patients ask their dentist to make sure that they're doing it, I suppose, the proper way?
First of all, I would ask them, so usually most dentists will love their root canals because it's a fine art. So it's hard to ask them, and if they don't know about ceramic implants, they will only give you the alternative of a titanium implant, and then you should say, no, I don't go with titanium because titanium is a metal. It has been shown in studies that about 20 to 25% of the population is already sensitive towards it. titanium dioxide is banned in Europe, for example. Titanium dioxide is the white coloring for toothpaste, for gum, for medication. And this is already an immune trigger. I don't know if it's banned in the US, but it's in Europe since 2 years ago.
It's not. It's sometimes used in supplements. And
Yeah.
as a colorant, I
Yeah,
heard
white.
it was safe, like when you ingest it, like it's not absorbed, but maybe you can
No.
speak to that.
No, of course it will be absorbed, or at least it is a particle that your immune system will maybe fight because it's foreign. You always have to understand we have an immune system. Basically, the innate immune system, the macrophages, are designed to attack foreign invaders. When you have any sort of particle, a titanium dioxide is a particle. It's not an ion, so you're not really allergic to it, but your body will attack it or eat it, and that's why you find it. For example, if you screw in a titanium implant in the bone, we know from dental studies that the oxide particles from just the mechanical screwing will get loose and present itself in the bone. And then we will find them in local lymph nodes. We find it everywhere and triggering that immune system. It's connected to all sorts of chronic health issues, even Alzheimer's. So it's not a good idea. But the good thing is we have alternatives. So first of all, ask your dentist what he thinks about ceramic implants. If he says, they're complete bullshit, they will break, they don't last, they don't osseointegrate, then they're just not up the game. They're just having, let's say, knowledge gaps. And then I would probably not go to them for this treatment because this is a mechanical skill that you need to know how to. So I'm personally, probably because of my concept, I'm a surgeon and I wanted to have the full-on biodentistry concept ready, meaning high-tech dentistry, melting with functional medicine and health optimization. But I was missing an alternative for the root canals because I knew titanium is not an alternative. It's the same ongoing inflammation later because of the macrophages, the cytokines, the immune trigger. And also on top, it's a metal, meaning in this world of EMFs, it's going to be an antenna. So I knew I can't do it. So I really was looking for an alternative. And like 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't really a thing at all. I just found someone who became my mentor in ceramic implantology that was already doing it for 10 years. And I saw it within 1 minute. He was a great surgeon. You can see skills straight away. But he was placing a ceramic implant. Same philosophy to mine. I'm like, wow, my concept is ready. From that day onwards, and this was 2012, end of 12, I only placed ceramic implants, never touched the titanium again, and placed over 5,000 pieces so far. Like I said, I'm also the vice president. And obviously, because of all that clinical experience, now 10 years later, we're doing tons of research. I'm the clinical guy having the data for the ones in the hospital or in the university doing the research. So now we can finally work together and do studies. And the studies are coming out that a ceramic implant is actually a more healthy alternative. But also doing it immediately on our research shows that it will keep the height and width. So what I was attacked for 5 years ago when my book came out was that's basically he's like hurting patients by taking out tooth and then putting ceramic implants which don't work and they break. But I was just a little bit too early in the game. Now the research shows it will keep height and width because it's like the 10 pole doing this. And it's a pain-free treatment. Imagine, I can just tell you if you want, the normal conventional dentistry career for that sort of thing versus what we do.
Yeah, please.
So let's say you have an infection on your root canal, a cyst, and it bothers you and we need to take it out. So usually the dentist will just take out that tooth and just let it heal. For the next 3 months, they say, we just let that socket heal. And in 3 months, we see again. And we do a cone beam scan to see how the bone is now healed. And then we start from there by planning an implant. So you already had 3 months waiting. Usually, in at least 50% of all times, bone is too little. So they will present to you, it's like, oh, we lost some bone. We might need to do a bone grafting. So you look into another 6 months of bone, so do a bone graft and let it heal for 6 months. Do another cone beam, come in for the implant, wait another 3 months. So we're already at 12 months, even 15 months, and a couple of appointments. Until you finally have your crown, which you can bite on, is probably 12 to 15 months. Versus immediate implant, meaning I just take out a tooth, disinfect everything, clean it so your body's healthy first. Then I put the ceramic implant in the same session, no pain at all, use obviously PRP and everything to help heal it. Then the next appointment, let's say 3 to 4 months down the line, the implant is already osseointegrated versus we do a cone beam and see if we need a bone graft. It's done. Another appointment and crown is done. So ideally it's 3 appointments, completely pain-free. You lose no bone, no width, nothing, and the complete anatomy stays intact. Imagine yourself this tooth would be a root canal. Do you want to have a gap there and a flipper that falls all the time? Or do you want to just have an implant straight away? And we even put a temporary on top so you don't even see it. It's like a cast for 3 months. You can't bite on it. But it's just more charming, more beautiful. It's like not hurting patients.
Well, I'd be willing to forego the instant gratification of having a working permanent solution right away if the alternative is better and healthier. But you're saying it's not better for you. It's better for you to get the ceramic implanted right away.
Yeah. So now it's clear that the ceramic implant right away keeps the anatomy. Yeah. No loss of bone. And is also a neutral device that is actually in medicine a biomaterial. So it's completely neutral to the body, which is extremely important because of the immune system and the nervous system to have something neutral. Of course, like I said, a regular healthy tooth would be better, but definitely way better than a titanium implant. And I get it. I mean, titanium implants are here for 40 years or 45 years, and they work. And the industry is obviously sponsoring it. But for the last 5 years, I have seen every single dental company putting out a ceramic implant. Why? Not for the health reasons, but for the aesthetic reasons. Because a white one just looks beautiful. You don't see it. Imagine you have a black one, and you see it here that a little bit of the black one shines through the gum.
Sometimes you see on people's gum line, there's like a dark hue.
It's the metal underneath.
That's the metal.
That's a problem if you're a dentist. You can never have a girlfriend again without looking in the mouth and seeing everything. It's like, oh shit, there's something that you can take out.
That's it. Well, it's not attractive. I mean,
no. I mean, there's a good meme on. I think you find it on the socials where there's a picture of a guy who has a missing tooth here, but also a missing eyebrow. No one sees the missing eyebrow. They all see the tooth.
I've seen that meme.
It's so funny, right? But it's that important. If you would have this tooth was gone, instantly everyone would think you're a bum. It's like, it's so important for your health. That's people subconsciously, but the aesthetics is obviously a side effect of health. So you cannot have people without teeth. It's just not good. And obviously also, I would say, just subconsciously losing teeth is basically dying, because if you lost the canines as an animal, you that's it. You can never kill anyone again, any animal again, eat anything. You're just dead. So that's what we have subconsciously.
It's super important. Yeah, an animal in the wild without its teeth is.
I mean, it could go with one.
Soon a dead animal.
Yeah, exactly. If it's lost a canine, this one, it's dead. You cannot rip it to.
You can't defend you. I mean, it's not. You can't defend yourself.
Nothing. It's gone.
Yeah.
And I think subconsciously we're still kind of like primal in some way. And if we lose canines, it's really hard sometimes. Also, it's the tooth that has the longest root. It's most of the time the hardest to, for let's say for the emotions, also for patients to lose that tooth. They don't know why, but it's obviously because of that. Because canines we're not supposed to lose until we die.
What's up with the decades-old stereotype that British people, like their teeth, the whole thing about people will say it's they lack fluoride in the water, and that's why British people, their teeth tend not to be that great. I've heard alternate arguments that they just don't value the aesthetic of white teeth the way that we do here in the West because of Hollywood, or not the West, but in the United States.
I think the main problem there is their health care system, the NHS. They're just subsidizing all the bad materials, like the black fillings. And also there is maybe not as much of an aesthetic appreciation for, let's say, the average Joe maybe. I mean, if you go to London, probably it's different because it's more westernized. I think it's just a combination of not being as aesthetically driven and bad dental work in the first place that leads to this. And obviously the lifestyle. Like they do a lot of, I mean, we do that too in Germany. So a lot of drinking. That's just the culture. Like, I mean, beer and stuff is not good for your teeth.
Yeah.
And also fish and chips. I mean, processed foods. But this is more Western thing. I think the same is in the US or in Germany, same. I mean, Germans drink beer too all the time.
Yeah.
This is just a normal thing.
We consume about 10% more ultra-processed foods here in the United States as compared to in England. They consume about 50% of their diet is ultra-processed.
And here's 60?
60,
Oh, wow. I think, I don't know, I have the numbers in Germany, but I'm sure it's 50% at least because it becomes more and more the same. And I think this is a big issue. It has nothing to do with the fluoride in water. That's for sure. I mean, a tooth decay is not a fluoride deficiency. It is a deficiency of nutrient. And maybe that's a big part to it because Britain maybe is a bit more higher altitude, meaning less sun, more rain, little bit less vitamin D3, and this is crucial for strong teeth, is vitamin D3. But even here, or even in Dubai, wherever I go where there's sun, people are still pale and don't go out in the sun. Versus if I would be here, I would be in the sun like all the. I would probably be like really dark skinned.
I've never made the connection between getting adequate sun, and dental health until just now.
It's huge. There's even studies showing, if you look at the Hadza and Maasai, I think was in Africa, they just have a vitamin D3 average level of 50 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. So if you do it in nanomoles times 2.5, let's say 150 nanomoles, and the ideal is above 60. So the norm for the vitamin D3 average norm on the blood work is 30 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. That is the average, meaning they are depleted. So we look for above 60. And they, like the Maasai, they at least 1 to 2 hours per day in full sunlight. That's how they absorb it. Because vitamin D3 is actually a hormone that you get from the sun. It goes on your skin and activates the cholesterol actually, which then gets produced, and the vitamin D3 gets stored using magnesium and various other nutrients, and then it's built up to use for it. But the problem is, the activated form of vitamin D3 is 1.25 vitamin D3 is only active for 15 hours, and the half-life of the storage one, which is 25 OH, which we measure, is only 15 days. So within 30 days, it's basically almost gone, or just a quarter from what you had absorbed maybe in your summertime. So in let's say in Europe, when there's no sun, most patients or most people get sick again, let's say in November, because of their vitamin D3 that was like built up during summertime, maybe when they're in the sun. It's just depleted by November. So in darker areas, you need to really use it. There's so much research about it. For example, if you see people with darker skin, they have the natural sunscreen. They need way more time in the sun to get the same amount of vitamin D3. So I think becoming more pale in the northern hemisphere, like all the Vikings down there, it is an adaptation to be able to absorb vitamin D3 with as little sunlight as possible. So imagine having a darker person living in Finland. So their level of chronic health issues are way higher.
Wow.
Yeah, there's good studies. Just look it up.
Do you tend to see higher rates of tooth decay in people with darker complexions as a result, on average?
I don't know if there's studies for it. So, yeah, but I would just estimate a yes. If they don't have their nutrition on point, definitely, because they need more. I mean, they sometimes need 6 times more sun just to get the same. And the other problem is, also studies show that from the 80s. If you go in the sunlight here in LA and you use sunscreen, only the SFP 6 is basically nothing. People use 50. Then no vitamin D3 production. Like literally no. You really have to go into the sunlight when it's the highest, so midday, when everybody warns you to not go there, and go in there, and then you produce vitamin D3. Obviously, if you're pale, you shouldn't go out in the sunlight for like an hour and then burn. That would be a bad side effect. But if you just use it strategically, and let's say, within 50 minutes you get a little bit red, that's good. Next day you do 20, and then you build it up. And within a couple of days you have darker skin. That's your natural sunscreen.
I've heard this referred to as the solar callus.
Yeah, that's a perfect word for it. Yeah, solar callus makes sense. The callus that we have, right?
Yeah.
All the training.
Yeah, you essentially build up your tolerance to sun exposure. If you're of pale complexion, such as I am, you don't want to, like, midday in the Los Angeles desert sun, go out and spend an hour. You don't want to do it straight away,
but you definitely want to do that. And you could, if you stay here, have like a natural brown tone all the time. But also, there's another side. Depending on culture, white pale skin is shown to be more like the richer people, and darker means you're working outside. So dark and lean, muscular in a lot of countries means peasants and like workers. That's true.
Wow.
So more fatty tissue and white skin is what seems to be more rich.
Representative of the aristocracy.
Exactly. That's a perfect word for it. Yeah, it's like crazy. If you go to Bali, for example, that's that way, or Indonesia. like the Chinese, Indonesian, they tend to stay very pale. They don't want to have any sunlight to their skin because it would say they're working outside in the sun, and it's really weird.
Okay, but what about photo aging? I mean, that's a thing. I have a lot of female listeners. I mean, and men too don't want to age at an accelerated pace, visually at least.
I think definitely the problem with photo aging is if you do the European strategy, be pale all year, fly to Mallorca in the summerland, and stay in the sun for 10 days and get cancer red. That's what you see there. And then obviously you have the massive sunburn, even get maybe cancer or whatever down the line, and wrinkles. But I've seen good experience here in California. There's Laird Hamilton. He's like, I think he's at least 60, maybe even 65. Legend on surfboard. I think he has never used sunscreen in his whole life, and he looks super young. So I think it's dose dependent. If you work your way up to that callus, and then you do it every single day, again, it's about balance and staying like an air conditioning. You want to have it at 72, not just go 59 and then 85 again. Same with the sun. If you can adopt this as a habit to go out in the sun, let's say an hour a day, I think that's the superhuman health strategy. And it will also give you a nice set of hard teeth.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. So what then, how do we prevent the necessity for root canals? I mean, I guess this comes back to basic dental care.
No, it even is before. So basic dental care is designed as a Band-Aid for the wrong lifestyle. See, like if you look at Weston Price's studies from 100 years ago, when he traveled the world to see how nutrition affects physical degeneration, he realized if he goes to places that are very rural and no contact to processed foods, these people are grown perfectly. Wide jaw, space for all teeth, even a second set of wisdom teeth, no scoliosis, beautiful wide faces, perfect nose breathing. And that was just the design of us as humans. That's what nature has us designed. The design that came with like degeneration, meaning he even saw it, that the kids that had already like contact with the processed foods, they looked like little monsters having narrow face, spacing issues, crowded teeth, tooth decay, gingivitis, so bleeding gums, and mouth breathing. But this is how our teenagers look in the Western world still up to this day. So it would come way before the cleaning strategy, because we have everything for cleaning at our hands, but it's designed to compensate for the wrong lifestyle. Our teeth are soft these days. Won't be solved by brushing twice a day with chemicals or using Listerine. This is what maybe acutely helps to mitigate it, because there are so many people out there that have the wrong lifestyle. But ideally, in the future, we shouldn't have dentists as a repair guy or a garage. The idea should be we have a doctor that is starting from the mouth, optimizing overall health. And if he sees tooth decay, he will initially know, oh, wow, let's measure the vitamin D3. Is this person gluten intolerant? Does he eat a lot of processed foods? Does he have leaky gum and leaky gut? And then from there, build to a solid strategy to rebuild and remineralize teeth and never need drilling, filling, root canals, any sort of implants or prosthetics ever. Unfortunately, all the people I see, like even my generation, but let's say 50 plus, they had so much bad dental work done. They need that fix. So right now we need the dental repair to upgrade itself. But for my kids at least, and the future generation, we shouldn't need any dentist at all. Maybe go there for oral hygiene twice a year, but that's it.
Wow. What would you say are the worst foods for dental health?
Yeah, basically processed foods. The worst foods are literally, obviously, sugar. Every dentist will tell you avoid the sugar. But it's not just the sugar. It's the grains. They act like sugars too, and also have phytic acid in it oftentimes, which is a known chelator, meaning it takes your minerals that you would need for your teeth and you poop it out instead of, like with the grains, instead of going back into your system. Or seed oils is another inflammatory trigger that might lead to bleeding gums, for example. Same for most of the conventional stuff and man-made processed foods, fast foods. They're not designed for us. They're designed to overeat. I mean, if I drive around here in California, my wife actually pointed out, like, look here, $5 you get like burgers, you get a complete drink, and you get some sort of like a dessert for $5. And if you go to a normal store and want to have healthy food, it's actually double the price at least. It's really, here at least, it's really more expensive, unless obviously you know the strategies that we talk about, then you can find good foods and prepare it. Like, I mean, chicken livers at Whole Foods are not really that expensive, but people don't want to eat that. So it's not convenient to cook yourself.
I bought a pound of them the other day.
Of the
chicken livers.
I love chicken livers, man.
So good.
And I think a pound is like $5 or $4.50.
Cheap.
It's same in Germany. A pound, or like we say kilograms, 2 pounds. A kilogram of chicken liver is €6 of good ones. But because no one wants it. Because the narrative for ever since I'm born, the narrative is organs are bad for you. They're some sort of toxic because the liver is a detoxification organ. That's complete bullshit, because the liver is a detoxification organ. That means it doesn't store toxins. If you just have a little sense of anatomy and of biochemistry, you will know that your body will store it in the fatty tissue and in the connective tissue and maybe even in organs, but not in the liver. If it's from a healthy animal, obviously, always talking about healthy animals, because then what it is, it becomes a superfood, because the liver is kind of like hosting tons of nutrients that it needs to get rid of the toxins, like lots of vitamins, B vitamins, methylation, choline is all in the liver, and obviously protein. So in comparison to, let's say, the chicken fillet, which is actually more expensive, you have the same amount of protein, but in the chicken fillet there's nothing in it besides protein and water. It tastes good too, but this one is where the goal is at. And in the animal world, every single predator goes for the liver or the organs first, and then leave the rest of the body, like the muscle meat, for the what is the name of the bird?
The one crows
from, or from Lucky Luke, like the one that eat the leftovers.
Scavengers, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's designed for. But we tend to eat mostly the fillets, and I mean, my parents taught me this. They're like, no. My parents always made intestines and livers, so my grandparents always would cook this. We hated it as kids. So us, as being their kids, we didn't get the chance to eat it, because my parents already hated like livers and stuff. And then obviously in the media, they had a bad rep. I don't know if the media here is the same, but in Europe it was definitely, most of my patients are like, oh no, I can't eat intestines, or I can't eat organs. It's so unhealthy. It's like, no. It's actually quite healthy. Obviously, you shouldn't overdo it, because you can have too much copper. You can have too much of it.
Vitamin A as well.
Yeah, it's high in nutrients. I think what you need to learn back is how to eat instinctively. This is how we're designed. So we basically walk around and then see something that we like to eat. Maybe there's a mushroom. Let's say there's a mushroom over there, and we would see it and then see, oh, that looks nice. Let's eat it. Then we would smell on it and say, smells quite good. Let's taste it. And then last one, we'd bite on it and it's like super ugly, and we just spit it out. So that's how it's designed, so that we don't ingest toxins and we know what's good for us. Problem nowadays is we don't have any instinct anymore. Because of the hyperpalatable foods, you basically could wrap a little bit of shit and put chemistry on. That's how I explain it to my kids. So would you eat this if it's just your poo wrapped in chemicals and a little bit of coating on top, and then it tastes amazing? Would you eat it? They're like, no. Why are you saying this? Because that's basically what it is. So this is where we lost it. And therefore, we need all these guidance and all these books about genius foods, but basically we're only bringing us back to what we knew 100 years ago already, because our lifestyle just got so convenient but unnatural, right?
Yeah. German cuisine involves a lot of sausages, right? And sausages are often, I believe, a means of packaging essentially organ meats and other parts of the animal that would be typically thrown away.
Yeah, exactly. So sausages were designed because maybe, let's say, we had famine or war and all these things, so we would never waste a part of an animal. So then we even the original sausage, we use the intestines as a package for the sausage. And in the intestines, obviously, all the leftovers, even the brains, everything. It tastes amazing. Obviously, it also got processed. So you have to really know how to read ingredients. But in Germany, you can find a lot of good sausages without nitrates. You can even find it here. I've seen good stuff here. It's designed to give you more nutrients and eat everything. You don't want to waste a thing. I think it's the first time in history, or at least, that we can go to a supermarket and just get 5 kilograms or let's say 10 pounds of chicken fillet. Before, you had to buy the whole animal. That's what we still do. I still buy whole animals from farms over there. Like, a friend of mine has he has the Galloway cattle. Those are the ones with the long hair, and they're eating only outside for like 4 years. So he lets them grow very slow. And then every once in a while I get a text, we will slaughter one. You want to have a bit? And obviously I buy that and freeze it. And same with lamb. I love lamb. I think lamb is the most hypoallergenic meat anyways. And as soon as he texts me there's a new lamb, I'll buy and put it in the freezer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you think sausages could be a health food in a way if you're able to find one that's minimally processed, free of additives, preservatives, things like that?
Yes, I think it's super healthy if it's just clean from a good animal. My kids pound sausages. I think because they're growing up, they need so much nutrients and so much calories. And a sausage actually provides a lot of calories because there's usually at least 25% is fat. But good animal fat, there's no seed oil attached to it. It's just the lard or the tallow or whatever comes with that animal. So yeah, sausages is a good thing. I think they have a sausage in their what is that, breakfast in school in their every day, and an egg. We always put in one hard-boiled egg.
No, I mean, eggs are amazing.
Yeah.
Eggs are a cognitive multivitamin. One of my favorite breakfasts on earth is the full English, which has usually a really high-quality sausage. If you get it from the right place, it's got the legumes, it's got beans, it's got eggs. Perfect breakfast.
Perfect breakfast.
Is there like a German equivalent?
So the German equivalent is called, I think you call it farmer's breakfast over here. In Germany, you call it Bauernfrühstück. Bauernfrühstück, it means farmer's breakfast. It's basically potatoes that are like in a pan, fried in a pan, with onions and then eggs with it. That's and bacon.
Sounds so good.
It is so good, man.
Damn.
It's so good. You will be satiated for a long time from that.
I love it. Okay, let's get back to the questions that I got from my audience, my amazing audience. So Joy asked, what can you do about receding gums?
So it depends. Receding gums is if you have more tooth visible. The tooth actually appears longer because you lose the gum in between. The thing is that is usually coming from the bony structure underneath. So if the bone has just receded, the gum just follows. So there's always, it's called biological width. So if you have the bone here, you have about 2 to 3 millimeters on top, which is the gum line. So if the bone goes backwards, the gum line just follows. So what you need to do is first, it's probably hard, it's difficult to get it back. It is possible with surgeries and stuff, but it's not really always staying there because of the bony structure underneath. But if it's only minimal, you can do with PRP and membranes and do a tiny surgical approach and pull it back up. But ideally, you want to have it stable. So work on having perfect, healthy gums. They're never bleeding. They're never reddish. They're always basically almost white, pinkish, pale, more pale, and very tight. So work on this first, and then usually stays. And if you have like then interdental black spots, which is called interdental triangles, then you could trick it a little bit with putting a tiny bits of fillers in there or pull it maybe back up, or even use veneers to cover it up. But true veneers, not crown work, not the Hollywood drill arounds. A true veneer is actually, it's basically as thin as a fingernail, like 2 to 3 millimeters, and it's usually additional to the tooth. So it's a fine art. And then you can maybe cover it up, but by stuff putting on top. You don't want to shave down your teeth for that. And this is, again, just a super high skill that a dentist needs. So even though some things are marketed as veneers, this is a question I get a lot. What about veneers? The problem is they're usually not veneers. They're usually partial crowns, full crowns. I've seen many patients that were advertised to get veneers, flew into any sort of country, and come back with all white crown work. Crown work means you basically drill away the good part of the teeth, which is the enamel. So drill it around and then put something new on top. Completely unnecessary. And veneer is really truly adhesive, like just on top of it. Maybe you file a little bit, but always stay in the hard part. Then you don't hurt the tooth. So there's not many worldwide that can do this. But if you want to have good ones, usually the ones that do smile design, digital smile design, are quite good dentists for that. Trained by Coachman. He had a good system for that. They always would do facial scans before. Like, this is something when you go to a dentist, what we would do is scan your whole face first. It's called facial scan, and then make a digital smile design on the computer, how you could look in the future. There's no prepping, nothing before. We know exactly where your teeth are, where they should be. And then we work backwards. And this is a lot of pre-work. We can also even mock up that part. So show you this in your mouth without drilling anything. And this is the way, if this is presented from the dentist, go for it. If they just tell you, we will have you next time for the preparation session, don't do it. It will probably end up being crowns, and then crowns is always the leeway to root canals and then losing your teeth and you needing an implant. So
Great
the drill
advice.
is a problem.
Yeah. So what's the best way to care for your gums then? Is it flossing? Flossing is important, no?
This is another controversial one. Flossing obviously is important for many people out there. It's a Band-Aid. Why do we need flossing these days? Because we have receding gums, because we had dental work done. We have maybe fillings that are not as tight together as your original teeth. Me personally, I don't need to floss. I don't have anything plaque buildup in between my teeth because they're just so tight together, and in between is gum.
Yeah, but when I floss, I mean, this might be TMI, but like when I floss, I pull out food particles.
Yeah, so if I had food stuck in there, I'll do it. But you probably had a couple of fillings, right?
I've definitely had a lot of fillings. Yeah.
So as soon as you had any dental repair done, is never the original anatomy. So probably you will need floss then as a Band-Aid. And it's fine, it's completely fine. Then because you also will be able to floss in between. For me, my teeth are so tight together. For me, it's hard to get floss in between. So I'll probably snap through and then cut my gums open by using the floss. So it can be a good strategy to pull out food and interdental, it's called interdental and biofilm plaque buildup. And you need to do that, especially if you have bleeding gums, you need to do it. But the goal should be, again, to have your lifestyle so good that there is no biofilm, there is no interdental plaque, unless maybe food got stuck. But that's it. So does it make sense what I just said? Like, does it explain it with flossing, how I would use it and don't?
Well, if your teeth are healthy, that there's going to be minimal space and then thus lower risk of food getting caught there, which can ferment and...
Exactly, but also obviously the nutrition is a big part of it. If you find yourself eating processed foods all day long and stuff that makes sticky biofilm on your teeth, maybe better to use flossing and brush your teeth twice a day.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't need that. I mean, 150 years ago, or if you go to more rural countries, there is no toothbrush, there is no flossing. They just have their teeth clean by eating real food, because real food will actually clean your teeth.
Like, for example, so I mean, having obviously meat stuck in between your teeth, meat particles, it's a lot different than having grain-based particles.
The meat thing is, again, it will be an immune trigger. Anything that gets stuck in there, your immune system, you will probably get an inflammation in your gum because your body is designed to get away from it, because this, again, is food. It's not designed to jump into your system without being digested. So therefore, you will create an inflammation. So you have to pull it out, especially if it goes into your gum. Yeah, but like let's say if you eat, let's say grains, or you drink a Coke, within a minute you have a little bit of a fur on your teeth, like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this, there is something on it. It's called the biofilm. This is the initial beginning of the bacteria attaching itself to the tooth. But if you, for example, eat raw carrots, there is no biofilm. It's just clean afterwards. Your teeth are super clean after eating a raw carrot. It's probably even clean after eating a steak, unless it gets stuck in between your teeth. So the more natural you eat, the less sticky stuff you have on your teeth. But again, if you eat rice all day, maybe brushing is a good strategy.
Yeah, that makes a lot
The
of sense.
starchy parts. The starchy stuff is just the stuff that builds sugar, and starchy things are a little bit more adhesive to teeth. And then this is the breeding ground for the bacteria, called biofilm. Biofilm you find all over the place in your body. You find not just on your teeth, you find biofilm on your fascia, you find it in your joints, you find it in your gut. Complete gut lining is all biofilm.
Wow.
So that's why it's good to have that, for example, like vegetables and all the roughage, they're a little bit like cleaning that biofilm off.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's all there. Nature has it right.
It's so cool. I remember reading a scientific review in some dental publication, peer-reviewed journal, that was like, counterintuitively, sugary drinks don't lead to as much accumulation of this biofilm, because it's you're basically gulping it down, and it's like it temporally it doesn't spend that much time in and around your teeth, and it doesn't get retained within the gum line the way that a grain-based snack might.
Yeah, exactly. It's also about the time on the tooth. So yeah, the sugary drink is not too hardcore on it.
Yeah, but like, you know, grain-based, ultra-processed foods.
All the mushy stuff.
Yeah.
It will just, even white rice will just stick there. Not as much as maybe like if you have white rice that has also, like sushi rice will stick there for sure, because sushi rice looks always nice on paper because it's just white rice. But if you know how sushi rice is prepared, there's at least 25% sugar in it. They use this syrup with it so that it gets so sticky. And therefore, the calories rice. Don't work anymore.
Yeah.
I love sushi too.
So
I mean, it's
good.
fine to eat it, but I wouldn't eat it all day long, every day. It's just another treat.
Yeah.
I love sushi too.
The best.
I mean, it makes me hungry, to be fair. So I will always spend a lot because I get hungry from eating sushi. I get hungry. I mean, carbs are designed, like nutrition is basically all information, right? And we know that protein will make you satiated, and fats also. But carbs don't. They make you hungry a lot. Like I can, because of the insulin and everything, I can eat a lot of sushi, like tons of it.
Tons.
And I never get satiated from it. So I would probably need to eat a steak first and then have sushi as a side order. Then it would be fine. But if I just go sushi, I probably would end up having this pile and still smash it.
I recently went to an all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant in Vegas, and it was so good.
And you ate it all?
Bro, they lost money on me. I'm like, how did the economics of this work out? Because the fish quality was so high.
Yeah,
it was great. It was a great place. But I go to town. Like I'm like a bottomless pit for good sushi.
I'm exactly the same. That's why I stay away from buffets. I don't know why that is. I mean, I need to have like a plate, portion finished. Otherwise, I go to a buffet and I'm like, okay, let's try this plate first. And I was like, was okay, but this one was best. I eat this one. And then I end up having like this belly, kind of like Homer, and you see the steak at the end sitting here. I don't know, it's so tense. I tend to overeat extremely. So I would go to town and they definitely lose money on me too. No problem.
Lose money.
But I think it's not many that can eat so much.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so another question that we got was related to dry mouth.
Oh, yeah.
I have chronic dry mouth. What can I do to remedy this?
So first of all, obviously, it's, how much you drink a day. So that would be number one, because the saliva is reproduced all the time. We need fluids. We just need to drink water. Not the coffee doesn't count, and teas would count, obviously, unsweetened ones, but just plain water. I would say most people at least should drink a gallon a day. 3 liters is in Germany. That's round about a gallon. So that's number one. Do you drink enough? Do you have enough minerals? Because you need the minerals to build your saliva. It's basically a mineral-rich solution. It's kind of like a miracle solution with tons of peptides in it. We can go into that later. And then, if you have that covered already, then look into dental repair, because because of all the various materials, can lead to dry mouth just by causing inflammation and changing the microbiome. So metals, root canals, all these things. But you cannot really hack yourself this way. But the number 4 is stress. Basically, dental repair is stress too. So stress, high cortisol lifestyle leads to all the parasympathetic part of the body gets shut down, and this is digestion. And saliva production is digestion. You know, that's mouth watering. You already have like saliva in your mouth when you cook your food. It's designed that way to start the initial part of the digestion. So if you have chronic dry mouth, I'm suspecting high cortisol, adrenal issues, nutrient deficiencies, and maybe just too much dopamine, just too much type A and speeding it up. So
that's so interesting. The one thing that I got from you when we first met, actually, at the Health Optimization Summit, is that the gut begins in the mouth.
Yes.
So few people, I think, recognize that. Such a great way to think about the role of oral health, the oral microbiome in digestion.
Yes, the missing link to overall gut health or health, because that tube starts in the mouth and ends at the rectum. It's just one tube, and actually this tube is not in you, it's outside body. It's like your skin here. It's designed as a protective barrier. And there's even that's anecdotally the theory that we were a worm first and built that body around us.
I've heard that.
You heard that too?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's true, but imagine it would be. Could be, at least. So yeah, the mouth is kind of like, look at a little baby. They put everything in the mouth. I have a little baby right now, so I'm really have to look what she's like eating everything. She would even take the poo and eat. No problem. Try everything. That's like, no, it doesn't taste good. And it's designed that way. It's also actually very good to eat more dirt and eat more stuff, because you get a more diversified microbiome. So sanitizing everything and using Listerine and all the chemicals, that actually kills your microbiome, leads to bad breath, leads to dysbiosis in the gut system, because it's already in the mouth. So really, this is the tiny ecosystem in that big ecosystem. And this ecosystem shows at one glance how the rest of the body presents. It's kind of like that's what I always say, it's kind of like the entrance hall to a hotel, like the lobby. If the lobby doesn't look good, you know you have to get out of here, right?
Wow.
Same in the mouth. If that doesn't look good, if you have any sort of oral health issues, I know as a biodentist, the decay is not just there. It's everywhere. Here's just where you see it first. And if you have that mindset, you can see, oh, wow, this patient has a decay overall. So how can we optimize it to get out of it? That should be the strategy of a dentist. Not using the drill, even though we have to it sometimes. But this is something you learn in university. First lesson, never use the drill. Because the drill leads to the dental career, meaning more cavities, more problems, new fillings, new crown work, bigger, and then new tooth, new implant. Unnecessary. So I mean, if you, for example, have like an injury or you smack down and you rip out your teeth, of course, then you need dental repair. But that's again like all the surgeries. When we need it, it's amazing that we have them. Like if I break my arm and it sticks out here, I'm happy that I can go to the hospital and get fixed up. Same in the mouth.
So great. Yeah, the eyes, if you consider the eyes a window to the brain, the mouth is a window to the gut.
Yeah, exactly. It's the entrance.
The entrance.
Yeah. And it's like the mouth or the teeth is like your eye is an extension of your brain. Nose too. This is an extension, this is an extension. I mean, this is the cranial nerves. If you just look up cranial nerves, every single dentist, every single doctor learns that. So obviously, if you do something on that nerve and the teeth are just the extension, it goes and affects the whole body. It's not on the teeth, but that's a bit of a problem with the regulations. For example, why is a mercury filling still allowed? At least in Germany or in Europe from 2025 onwards, finally banned, but not in the US yet. It is because a filling or a crown or any sort of dental repair is considered a device, like this thing. And a device doesn't need to have a toxicological report onto it. It's just like your glasses. It's on the body. It's not in the body. So that's how they can get away with it.
Are there any forms of rinses that are safe with regards to the oral microbiome that one might use to freshen up?
Yeah,
for example.
I mean for rinse, yeah, like there's more and more rinses coming out that just simply look into the ingredients. If there's if it's all natural and there's maybe some probiotics and prebiotics in there, and just natural stuff, it might be good for you, even essential oils. What we usually do is coconut oil pulling as a strategy because this is proven to be effective from Ayurvedic, and coconut oil is just, I mean, you probably have it down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, extra virgin coconut oil contains lauric acid, which is antiviral, antibacterial, and it just overall balances your oral microbiome instead of nuking it. So you can't do anything wrong there, and it also helps against bad breath because it will kind of like bind a few toxins, kills a few bacteria, and you just spit it out afterwards anyways. And it's basically for free.
Yeah. What about a salt water rinse?
It's good too.
Yeah.
Salt water rinse is good. You can also spice all the things up. You could actually put propolis or some sort of essential oils to the coconut oil pulling and go fancy with it. You can also use baking soda a little bit with it. It's all dose dependent, obviously, but salt is great too.
What do you think about xylitol?
I'm actually a big fan of xylitol.
You are?
Again, dose dependent. So if you use xylitol in the mouth, there's lots of studies showing our bad bugs in the mouth are called Streptococcus mutans, mainly for cavities, or Porphyromonas gingivalis. So Streptococcus mutans, we know, likes to eat sugars, produces acids, and then this leads to the dental cavities, or at least part of it. But the mutants also will eat xylitol, but it can't digest it and then just dies. So It's kind of like a Trojan horse that you feed them. But it is a strong antimicrobial. Therefore, if you pound xylitol suddenly because you eat diet stuff all day long and you have, instead of 15 milligrams a day, or let's say 100 milligrams a day, you suddenly end up having 10 grams a day, then you kill your microbes in your gut and you maybe have like the shits. So this is all dose dependent. So it's not good or bad. Same with stevia. So I use a lot of stevia and xylitol in all the products because they're antimicrobials. But I don't use sucralose and I don't use all the artificial ones because they actually also interfere with your microbiome in a wrong way. So obviously they're marketed for calories and I get it. So I mean, just from the calorie side of things, if you're diabetic and have metabolic issues, it's probably better to eat the low-calorie diet stuff. But from an overall health perspective, I would upgrade and use more like the natural sweeteners that are actually also... Xylitol is not without calories, but at least stevia is without calories. I know some people don't like it because it's a bit bitter. But go this direction. I don't say that you will die from sucralose, no way. But I would design or formulate products always without, if possible, because there's better solutions. Even I saw here you have monk fruit. It's not allowed in Europe, so it's a novel food in Europe.
Interesting. Why isn't it allowed in Europe?
So many nutrients in Europe are not allowed that you do here.
Would you say that European...
It's called a novel food. As soon as it's a novel food, it's not legal to put it into supplements. Because supplements in Germany is food.
Do you think European regulators are too conservative? Because you often hear this a lot as a way of fear-mongering certain additives that are approved here for use in the United States.
I think maybe Europe was wrong because, for example, Holland, Dutch, Netherlands, they allow everything. And it's Europe too. So let's say Germany is probably the most strict. Germany, Switzerland, and Austria are most strict about it. I don't know why it is, to be fair. If it's fear-mongering or they're just having too many regulations and need to prove it on every level.
Well, what I've heard is that our FDA, and I mean, there's data to support this, so this is not just purely anecdote, but that our FDA is just a lot more friendly with corporations.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the funny part is, you know, I have a supplement company in Germany, so for us to go to the US is and produce in Germany and bring it out in the US is literally impossible because you need all the FDA regulations, signs, and stamps on it, like something improved, GMP improved, or whatever you have on your labels. But actually, if you look into regulations, they're way lower than what we have as a standard to just bring out a supplement. But you need, for your country, you need these regulations. So it's easier for me to start building the supplements from here. And because of one of my formulations, the tooth shield, I know in Europe, I use boron, which is borax, I think, and in the US. So that's a specific form of sodium borate. Is not allowed in the US. The only nutrient that I'm allowed in Germany to use that is not allowed here. So here I have to use boron glycinate. Well, it's also good.
Boron has been shown to reduce sex hormone binding globulin.
Boron is amazing.
And boost free testosterone. There was like one study.
The best study is nothing boring about boron. It's the complete review paper on PubMed.
Ooh, interesting.
It's so good because when you just look at the summary, what it does, it improves methylation, it improves heavy metal detoxification, it is good for your testosterone, X, Y, Z. If you just read this, you're like, this medication I want to be on. It's just a simple trace mineral. I mean, just the forms of boron differ. You can have various different mineral complexes to it. So in the US, in the formulation, I have boron glycinate. It's amazing because glycinate is very good too for your liver and stuff. It's just a different boron in Europe. And I found it so funny that this one was not allowed in the US versus in Germany completely allowed. So, wow. But usually it's the other way around. Like monk fruit, not possible to put monk fruit in my supplements in Germany.
So weird.
Super weird.
Yeah. But
monk fruit is great. I bought it here. I mean, it's good. It's kind of like erythritol a little bit, and oftentimes it is actually 1-in-1. Monk fruit erythritol. You know,
have you ever tried
erythritol?
Erythritol.
Oh, it was correct. Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever tried raw monk fruit, like pure? Monk
the fruit? No, not yet. Where can I get it?
It's so good. It has like a vague maple syrup flavor.
Nice.
It's so tasty. I don't remember where I got it from, but I
now it's on my mind. I will find it.
Yeah,
you put it on the radar. There's raw monk fruit.
It's great. And boron's also really good for. Is the reason why you use it in your supplements because if I recall correctly, it's great for bone strength.
It's in the formulation called Tooth Shield that comes out here. It is a part of the complete complex that is actually the one-stop shop for strong bones and teeth. Because we need boron in the bone science, basically to help activate all the minerals and stuff. So it's really extremely important in there. Boron, great. Zinc is also in there. So we have boron, zinc, obviously magnesium. We need methylation also for that. So there's obviously the activated B vitamins. We need vitamin D3, vitamin K2. So it's a complete complex that will... Let's say step 2 after brushing your teeth should be the supplement because it's covering the needs. Even though I personally love the approach to optimize nutrition first and then supplement, for some people it will be good to just have a supplement on top of their wrong diet. In this case, it's not out supplementing the bad diet, it's just giving you the right nutrients as a, let's say, Band-Aid too.
Yeah.
But in a healthy way.
Yeah. I love
It's good for all approaches.
For sure. And vitamin K2, I mean, there's a lot of really cool research on vitamin K2.
Yeah. So this is actually Weston Price. I think he was like the first biodentist, and because he was also so much interested in nutrition, he was actually the one, because of our root canals earlier. He was chairman of the ADA. He was actually of the American Dental Association, and he did a ton of research on root canals. So he was suspecting health issues coming from the root canals because they just started back then, and he realized his patients get chronically unhealthy. So he asked his patients, can I take out your root canal and see what happens? And what he did, he took out all the root canals from patients and placed it under the skin of rabbits. He probably budgeted a lot of rabbits for the altar of medicine, like thousands. But what he found was that 80% of all cases, in 80% of all cases, the symptoms from the host transferred to the rabbit, exactly the same.
Whoa.
For heart problems, 100% the same. And his studies were actually repeated by Hal Huggins, another holistic dentist that was really on the forefront. He died. He's already old. But it's amazing. So he has the book is probably that big, only about root canals. Unfortunately, root canals back then already were like a standard treatment and a means of like getting money for dentists. So I don't know how many root canals are performed in the US right now, but it was like more than 30 million a year. So it's also a big business. And I'm not saying it's bad or good, but it's just we can upgrade it. We can just do the next level of dentistry and still have our amazing craftsmanship, but help patients to heal overall. That's just the only thing I'm saying. It's not that people freak out, you have a root canal. No, don't freak out. You just know, oh, wow, I'm on that journey of optimizing my health. Or maybe I'm a high-performance athlete playing for the LA Lakers, and I always have chronic knee problems. Then it's time to see someone who can diagnose and see, oh, well, there's a root canal on that meridian. Oh, wow, you have your wisdom teeth removed. Or there's metal. We need to remove this to make you even stronger or run a little bit faster. This is the approach. There's just, how can we make this body as natural as possible again?
I didn't realize that Weston Price was the chairman of the
American Dental Association.
Yeah.
And why I was getting there was actually with the vitamin K2. Sorry for the rabbit hole. So vitamin K2. So he initially developed some sort of a tooth healing protocol. So he realized by giving these people the right nutrients, he could actually stop tooth decay and make their tooth hard again, because we're able to rebuild teeth. At least build, it's called tertiary dentin. Like it gets built from a live pulp and just saves it. The hole will still be there. So he saw that he gave them cod liver oil, so omega-3 fatty acids and stuff, and vitamin D3. He knew there's vitamin D3 in it. And he gave them butter, the yellow butter from grass-fed cows that ate fast-growing grass. And he called something in that butter the Activator X. He didn't know what it was by the time, but I think Chris Masterjohn found out in 2009 that what he found, the Activator X, is just vitamin K2. It's super rich in butter, in the yellow butter, the good
grass-fed butter.
The grass-fed butter. So vitamin K2 is a necessary cofactor to get the calcium into your bones and into your teeth. So basically, tooth decay is kind of like osteoporosis of your tooth. And osteoporosis, again, is a huge thing for females and males in the Western world. And is not a deficiency of any sort of chemical that you can inject into your body, and then it looks like it's nice bone on the X-ray again. No, it's just if you have hollow bone, it's missing nutrients. And we need vitamin D3, again, sunlight, to basically reabsorb calcium from the kidneys and the large intestine into the bloodstream. So let's see the bloodstream as a highway. So we now have calcium bricks on the highway. And we also have two trucks, because the vitamin D3 activates two critical enzymes, some MGP and BGP. So let's say two trucks running and the calcium bricks on top. But in order to drive these trucks, you need a driver and a co-driver. The driver will be K2, and the co-driver is magnesium. And there's a good study showing that magnesium is necessary to bring all the other elements and all the other minerals together with the vitamin D and K2 into the bones and into the teeth. So it's just bone healing science, and this is what I teach all the real biodentists for over a decade. Nutrition, supplementation, systemic bone healing, not just local surgery stuff, but really make that body anabolic so that it really heals.
Yeah, most of our magnesium is stored in our bones. That's why there's no real good blood test to measure magnesium levels, and about 50 to 60% of Americans underconsume magnesium.
And actually, if you do the serum magnesium, which most doctors will prescribe, it is usually a false positive. Because if you show magnesium in the blood serum, it means that your body gets depleted probably because of high stress and pulls it out of your bones. So,
or you're not absorbing it, right?
Or not absorbing it, or just pulls it out as a means of stress because you need more magnesium. For example, just if you have any sort of medication, you have your ibuprofen or you need more magnesium to detox it. So it's basically the mineral of the liver, the detoxification, relaxing mineral. And therefore you should get a red blood cell magnesium to see, or maybe even a hair mineral analyzer to see how your levels are. But I can tell you, like you said, all patients are deficient in vitamin D3, especially if you're an athlete. Then this is especially, or have any sort of chronic stress, because stress depletes magnesium. That's just it. So you should have at least a gram of magnesium a day, maybe 50% from real whole foods and not from fortified foods. And then the rest you need a supplement. So I consider magnesium food. It's just, this is a basic supplement for me. I don't really see it as a supplement. And I'm a fan of all magnesium. So if you look at research, the most research is done on magnesium citrate, which actually works for most patients that are deficient because it's just uptaken by mitochondria, and the citrate helps also to speed up these things. But in our product, on my bone healing protocol, we have magnesium citrate, obviously as the bulk of it, but you also have magnesium malate in the amino formula because it's been shown to help your brain cognition and your mitochondria too. And we also put in the bone supplement, the tooth shield, we put magnesium glycinate because it's more for the evening, it's more relaxing, but they're all good. It's not that this one supplement, magnesium, is the best. That's complete bullshit. All of the elementary ones, all of the organic ones, like the chelated versions, even taurate, fumarate, they're all good for various different reasons. But I think it's more nitty gritty. It's all about getting magnesium. And you won't really get it absorbed if you use the oxides and the chlorides and the sulfates. But we use them too for IV. So a lot of the IVs have, I'm a big fan of magnesium sulfate for IV because it instantly gives you parasympathetic vasodilation. It's amazing. IV or bath. If you do like an Epsom salt bath, it's usually magnesium sulfate. That's why it's so bitter when you taste it.
Yeah, I take magnesium every day.
I think you should. I take it probably, depending on sports, 2 to 3 times a day.
Where would you typically find it in food, though? Because, I mean...
It's actually more rich in plants.
It's rich in plants,
Richer.
but it's also, I mean, if it's stored in bone, then hypothetically, you know, I feel like it's probably, bone broths and things like that, bone meal, probably, maybe eggshells, I don't even know.
Eggshells is more calcium. I think for magnesium, to get it out of the bone, you have to cook them quite long. So the place you recommended, the Camp Pho, when they like do it for 48 hours or cook the pho for so long, I think that's super rich in magnesium then.
That is the best pho I've ever had in my life.
Actually, it's
Did
open.
You go?
It's open again.
Oh, it's open again?
I've been there. My kids loved it so much, we will go again.
It's in Venice.
So good.
Camp Pho. It's the best pho I've ever had. And I've had quite a bit of pho, and it's definitely a departure from, I guess, how one might describe traditional pho. They add spices to it that's, you know, a little bit different, but
the spices are very good. I think they add even cinnamon and stuff. It tastes
definitely,
right?
definitely.
It's really good. It was a good recommendation. So kids love that we go there again.
I love that.
So broths are naturally good for that, but I think if you just look at the most rich is probably plants, to be fair, like more leafy green vegetables. The question is, where are they produced? Is the soil good? So I would just say maybe if you eat a really healthy, let's say whole food, eat real food diet, the one that you also recommend, you probably get about 500 milligrams, maybe a gram a day. But then on top, depending on your, let's say, stress level, performance level in sports, in the gym, but also mentally, cognitively, you might need another gram. That's why I rather have a little bit more in my supplementation. So I would always, after sports, use the citrate because I do it in the mornings, and in the evening at least the glycinate, and in the aminos I have to. So I have a lot of magnesium in my diet every single day, and I'm probably still deficient. That's why sometimes I run an IV with magnesium, because also obviously depending on your gut level, gut status, if you have like leaky gut, the question is, do you really absorb it? And sometimes you really, like a lot of my patients, even though we prescribe a very healthy elimination diet, a food design concept, which is really sought after them. We still do a lot of IVs because oftentimes they're in such a depleted state and they have so much inflammation going on in their complete intestines, they don't really absorb it. So we front load and back load a lot with nutrients from the through the vein, because it's actually, if you get something intravenously, higher doses, you bypass the digestive tract, right? And by that, you can be sure that you absorbed it.
Right.
So this is a good strategy. I'm not a fan of using IVs all the time, but if you can afford it from time to time, at least if you're very, let's say, if you're an athlete or high performance, also like a surgeon, whatever like stress level you have, it's always good to get a bit more nutrients in.
Yeah. And also so many people in the United States, I don't know the statistics in abroad in Germany, for example, but I know so many people today are on acid blocking medications. And
Same.
Same.
So proton pump inhibitors is the same. This is a standard. I think most medical doctors prescribe like 15 different medications. They're always the same. And there's always a proton pump inhibitor. So as soon as you get an ibuprofen, they will give you this at the same time.
You know, you used to need a prescription to get a proton pump inhibitor, and now they're available over the counter. So when people are eating these crap diets and they experience reflux, many people today, like a huge proportion, are on chronically these PPI, proton pump inhibitor.
Yeah,
drugs.
and the problem is that, I mean, it should be clear by now that the reflux is a sign of a low stomach acid. But it's still heavily marketed as high stomach acid. Why they buffer it, making the pH even worse. So your stomach is designed to be a protective area, and I think the pH, if you would put your finger in your stomach, it's gone, yeah? Because I think it's pH 1.
Wow.
So as soon as it goes to pH 1.5 or 1.8, it's only 50% of the disinfection. More bacteria can survive. So it's really extremely important to get the best possible HCl production, like hypochlorite acid, stomach acid production.
Yeah.
And actually, in functional medicine, you learn it a lot. And decades ago, I used a ton of HCl to get that back up. Just HCl tablets, like really hydrochloric acid tablets, until I had that sensation of burning again. Took me years because I took a lot of medication as a kid, lots of antibiotics, I didn't do the proton pump inhibitors. I can only imagine if you do them on top, it's not going to be good for your stomach. You want to have this acidic environment. That's why I'm also not a fan of pounding alkaline stuff here. I'm very much a fan of alkaline absorbed through your skin or you're in a bath, but you don't want to drink it because then you buffer your innate stomach acid capacity, which is there to digest.
And people still spend their money on alkaline waters and things like that.
I've seen it everywhere here, like 8.5 pH. And I mean, you can do this at times because it will probably help speed up detoxification, but you shouldn't do that on a daily basis. It should be like a more pH neutral one. Maybe even, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, acidity is not ideal, but it's depending. So let's say our usual urine or even saliva is around about 7.4. That would be physiological normal. And this is how we should stay. But obviously, by eating more acidic and drinking more acidic foods, your let's say, the pH changes all the time. This is also why drinking too much acidic stuff or eating too much acidic stuff, coffee is acidic too, orange juice is acidic, every soda is acidic, citric acid, even in the healthy ones, is acidic, and even carbonated drinks. So it will maybe change it up, but if your saliva is supported with the right nutrition, the right minerals, it will always rebalance or like re-mineralize everything. But as soon as you have like the pH in the mouth going below 5.5 for a longer period of time, that is leaching out minerals from the teeth. So you deplete it. And this is actually how you open the hard shell of your tooth for bacteria to jump in. So this is why you have to remineralize all the time. And the funny thing is, or not funny, but the interesting thing is, there's also studies showing that women have a complete different oral pH than men. Men are quite stable. It's always 7.5. And all the research from the 80s and 90s is done on men. But we now know that women have more like a pH of 5.5 depending on their cycle. So it changes. Their bodily fluids change. So they're actually more prone to tooth decay.
Wow.
So for them,
I wonder
it's
if that's a
to
means of, as just an added layer of protection to acidify the mouth.
Probably, yes.
Like a cat.
Yeah.
Cats are highly acidic,
Yeah.
but they're carnivores,
Yeah.
obligate carnivores, and they eat carcasses and stuff,
Yeah.
And so you can feed a cat pretty much anything, and they're protected because their stomachs are so acidic.
I know. I don't know 100% why nature designed it that way, but it's good to know. For example, if female have more tooth decay or have more dry mouth, maybe it's too acidic environment right now, so they are good with chewing some xylitol gum.
Well, so you don't necessarily want to eat acidic foods all the time, but you do want your stomach acid to be
exactly. Your stomach acid needs to be a protection, and also if it's pH 1. It will dissolve your proteins and your food, and this is why we need that to be able then later down in the small intestine to absorb all the nutrients.
Iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamin B12,
proteins. Amino acids. If there's no acidity, it just doesn't absorb, and then you get reflux and it burns, and then you get a surgery on your esophagus, or you get cancer there. Why? Yeah. If you have that burning, or how you call it in English, the reflux, there's a word for it.
GERD.
Yeah. If you have that.
Heartburn.
Yeah. If you have heartburn, then don't use the PPI. Then it's definitely your nutrition that you should work on, and maybe use HCl and enzymes to bring up that stomach acid. Because also, again, the chronic stressful life we are experiencing here also reduces stomach acid production. So high cortisol, lower stomach acid production, less digestion. That's why you shouldn't eat when you're stressed out. Won't even be absorbed.
And you also require to generate stomach acid cofactors from food, like iodine, B vitamins.
Yeah, exactly. And also B12, for example, is actually absorbed in the stomach. And if you have low stomach acid, it doesn't get absorbed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, and then you have constant problems, and maybe you have chronic back pain, and it's just chronic back pain, not the lower back pain, but the higher back pain, like mid back pain. So oftentimes just a chronically ongoing inflamed stomach, because it pulls from the organs pull to the spine from the inside. Or if you have always like tension in your shoulders, usually from the gallbladder. Wow. It's just, if you have you have to understand fascial trains. It's a very good book, Fascial Trains. Look at this, deep front line, lateral lines, all the lines in your body are totally connected to everything. So, for example, for teeth, this is the masseter. We talked about this last time when you like chew and you get the building of your masseter. The fascia goes from here till your right toe, like across your body. So if you have any inflammation or any sort of stress, when you're grinding all the time, you get tense on these front lines, and that means you maybe have a more rounded back, and you don't feel it anymore in your body, but the hunchback is maybe just a protection of your stomach and anything, because there's a stressor. This is the more complex thing to understand. This is why some sport people or some, let's say, high-performance athlete have chronic knee pain, but whatever the orthopedist does on the knee, it doesn't work, because the issue is from somewhere else. Maybe it is one of these cavitations in your jawbone. And a good coach would have their team like looked after from a real biodentist that knows exactly how to diagnose. And some do. Or actually, in my book, the entrance is from that world. It's just an anecdote, but from the World Championship back in the 50s, that when Brazil won for the first time, what their trainer had them do is have a look into their mouths, and found so much inflammation, all the players, and then they had it fixed, and then they won. I mean, it's not correlation, or causation, but it's really interesting.
It is interesting. What do we do about teeth grinding?
So grinding is also multiple factors. Okay, let's say you have perfect healthy teeth, you never had dental repair done, and you still grind, and you have a solid bite. Then it's usually a stress issue, so that your body is just compensating something at night and works on a stress mechanism, which is actually quite fine. But if you on top had your wisdom teeth removed, the cavitations, like this chronic jawbone inflammation, could be a trigger for that grinding. I had that problem, for example. I was grinding like crazy, and that was just the trigger was in my nervous system from the chronic inflammation of the jawbone, which no one will tell you. The other side is obviously dental repair, wrong bite, too low of a bite, and you just grind because it doesn't fit. So and again, if it doesn't fit, you bite top and low, it's another stress for your system.
So would you recommend a night guard or looking to the source of any potential stresses first?
I would probably recommend a night guard again as a Band-Aid for initial, like just reduction of abrasion of your teeth. just as a, like you said, like a safeguard or like.
Do you wear like a mouth guard when lifting weights? Because sometimes
No,
I
I
feel
don't.
like I grind when when I'm straining to
I
lift
think you probably press more.
Ah.
It's like if you feel yourself doing it too extreme, you could actually wear a mouth guard. So for, let's say, the extreme heavy deadlifters, or like these strongmen, I would probably recommend a mouth guard because they're applying so much force. They need to bite on their teeth. You know that there's good studies showing that the bite is kind of like in the middle of your whole posture. It's like the thermostat for your complete body posture. Therefore, if you have a solid bite, you just tense more and more stable on the ground and can lift more weights. We even can do splints in sports dentistry that you can wear, and we can activate them so you get more aggressive for running or for your performance.
Whoa.
Just by activating a little bit of sympathetic stress to it and then make a parasympathetic splint at night. It's called a performance splint. That's possible.
Super interesting.
It's very interesting. And obviously, if you have no bite, like I personally, I don't really have a good bite because I had orthodontists. It looks like I have nice teeth, but top and low don't really fit together. So I'm always looking for the solid space. I found it now, but I can see when people don't have a real bite that they always do this, and they're unstable in their hips then. So the bite is really super important then also for training. So no one looks there. So you have a perfect bodybuilder and they're always a little bit shifted. Maybe it's just the bite is off. And they just if they had that solid bite, at least compensated with a splint, they just then have 20% more strength, more bodybuilding, more muscle. It's so important. It's the centerpiece of all the posture. This joint here is called TMJ, temporomandibular joint. It's one of the most important ones. It actually gets activated when you come out of the womb, by open up the mouth and breathing in. And this is where about 50% of all your nerves from the brain go through and the blood supply. So what happens, there's good studies showing this, what happens if you had dental repair over time, dental repair always leads to a little bit of a lower bite, lower, because you get a new filling, then you like it, you don't like it, you go back to the dentist, they drill a little bit down until it sinks and sinks and sinks. So if you only have 1 millimeter, which is like this, of height bone loss in your jawbone bite, is this 50% less blood flow to the brain and from the brain, meaning more toxins in the brain, less blood to the brain, meaning you age faster. Less acetylcholine, less neurotransmitters, less oxygenation to the brain, and less detoxification from the brain. It's called glymphatic system.
Whoa, yeah, the glymphatic system.
Yeah, glymphatic system doesn't work if the bite is off.
How do we rectify that? Any exercises to make more space? That's
so
concerning.
The simplest thing you could do, everyone could do out there, if it's about performance or what you could do is you buy yourself, like, these cotton rolls that dentists use, you just buy yourself a couple of cotton rolls or ask your dentist and put them in between your teeth so you have your bite open. Bite on them while you do your squats. And if you, by any chance, do 2 reps more or anything, you know that the bite is a bit off. And you could use that as a simple, quick fix solution, but then obviously work on a long-term strategy to find a solid bite, which is probably more expensive because you need dental repair. But that would be the super simple, easy, on the money, quick fix. I do that from time to time. That posturology is super important in biodentistry, meaning like if we restore a new bite. So we work on seeing the patient once in a lifetime, or like in a set of, let's say, 3 to 5 appointments for 6 months maybe, to restore everything the biocompatible way, like we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. So when they come back after surgery, let's say 3 to 4 months later, I want to put in new crown work, new teeth, so it looks nice. But obviously the bite needs to be solid and perfect. So we will use that time frame in between to work on the complete body posture, work on opening the bite and all these different things, so that when they come back, they have the perfect alignment. So what we could do, we have someone coming in the clinic every 4 to 6 weeks who does posturology. It's amazing. Look into this. It's from Canada, I think, and he also learned from other people in Europe. So it works with these fascial trains, and you can just simply test your eyes and your bite and something that is off. Maybe you have a little bit of a shift in your spine just because your eye muscle here is a little bit off. Yeah, and therefore you compensate by doing this, and over time it gets a switch in there, and this is translated through the teeth and then to the hip. So it's always eyes need to follow like the horizon. Look at a chicken. If you have a chicken, it's like a gimbal, always moves around like this, right? Yeah. And we can't do this, so we will adjust. Imagine you had like for your foot at one point in your time, you had like a rolled ankle. So you have pain there, so your body adjusts. And then you go from there to next. So your eyesight will be adjust a little bit just to compensate for that pain. And this will then be in the tissue for the next 10, 20, 30 years, maybe leading to lower back pain. Stuff like this. So this is called the righteous reflex. So this always has to be horizontal. So whatever shifts in your body, the muscle have to compensate. And then you get like a little bit crooked over time, maybe tiny little bits, but maybe you have a joint problem because of it. So you have to see eyes, jaw, and then the mid-back or the hip is usually kind of like the dumping area from everything that comes from above. I don't know if you could follow. It was a bit of a rabbit hole. But it's so important. So posture and bite are 100% aligned. You can never work on posture without looking into the bite.
My bite is pretty good. I mean,
It looks good, yeah.
I had braces growing up, and I had a palate expander.
Yeah, it's good.
As a part of that treatment.
Bite? Yeah, solid.
Yeah?
It feels solid, right?
Yeah, it feels solid. It feels
It
like
looks
a solid
solid.
bite, yeah. But I definitely grind when I'm lifting weights. But I've got this trick that I do that I probably look like the biggest freak when I'm lifting weights. But I put my tongue in between my teeth because I know I'm not going to bite my
the upper teeth.
I just put them in between my teeth because I know I'm not going to bite down on my tongue. So I use my tongue as a buffer so that I don't
kind of
grind.
like the cotton roll, right?
Yeah, kind of like the cotton roll. Yeah. I put my tongue between my teeth, and that's how I lift weights.
Okay, cool. That's a good strategy. What you could also do, just to align your body, is put your tongue up in between your incisors where these wrinkles are. Mm-hmm. It's called a papillae. That's also how your tongue posture should be during night. So before you start any sort of mouth taping, you should always work on tongue posture first, putting the tongue here, and then leave it there, breathe your nose, and do this consciously before you start your set in the gym. Put it there, breathe, and leave it there. Press against there with the tongue, and everything is more stable, like more centered. It's crazy.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hit the gym.
Yeah, hit the gym.
With all these new learnings. Yeah. This was so fun. Thanks for coming back in.
Of course, always.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Such a blast. So knowledgeable. So knowledgeable. Y'all should definitely find Dr. Dom on Instagram. Give him a follow. Such a powerful resource. And if you haven't yet listened to episode 1, the first episode that I did with Dr. Dom, came out just a few months ago. So definitely go and check that out. Just as packed. Just as valuable. So yeah, brother, thank you again for your time, and just remind listeners where they can find you.
Thanks for having me again. It's always a blast.
Yeah, always a blast.
You find me on Instagram, Dr. Dom1. Maybe put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And then obviously for all the dental training, the Real Bio-Dentist is the Institute of Biological Dentistry. But also on the Instagram, you will find my clinic. Dr. Dom Official would be the page where you find everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, clinic, book, everything you need to know.
Love it.
Love it.
Love it, brother.
It's the mission.
Yeah, that is the mission.
Optimal health starts in the mouth.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.